if you're quilting, you're content. And it's given me really tons of joy just to put those colors together. And it's a real challenge with new patterns and see if I can do them or not. And I had a really, really bad year, and that was my very first quilt. And I spent all summer hand piecing it and hand quilting it. It was made in the summer of my discontent. When I first started Margie's Country Store, it was in the front of the Oxford Gas building. We built a little rough barn inside there, and the ladies came from Madison and all over to buy gifts. Well, finally, when it got so crowded that the men couldn't get to the window to pay the gas bills, we had to make a change. And we found that Historic Madison was selling the building that we're in now. It had been empty for over 20 years, nothing in it, just sat here. But we came down, Mr. Daly came, and it was a rainy morning, and he had a great big flashlight, and we went through the building. And it had enough room for my 5 children and for the shop. And I wanted that building worse than poison. And so we bought it, and we started in and we renovated it. It had to have wiring, heating, plumbing, completely redecorated. It had to have layers and layers of wallpaper scraped off and coal soot cleaned up. So then we opened the shop, and at that time, like I said, I didn't have fabric, but I had the gifts. But it wasn't very long until I started adding the fabric. The industry has grown. There's so many more fabric companies. You can get the most beautiful selection of fabrics right now than we've ever been able to have. Also, there are more retreats, there are more classes, more shows. It's grown. It's nothing compared to when we first started. When we first started, we were doing it all by hand. We were doing all hand piecing and hand quilting. Now, it's almost always done by machine, even the quilting. And then there weren't any long-arm quilters, and now there are long-arm quilting machines with computers on them. And there's been, I can't even begin to tell you the changes. The first time I went to market, a lot of the people that were at market, they had little vests on. And on the back of them was a quilt block that looked like a bullseye. And that was the beginning of the quilters wearing their quilts. Well, the thing of it is, the boys, when we moved down here, were all in school. And so they could walk to the boys' club, they could walk to the library, they could walk to the swimming pool. And they, although I didn't always know where they were, they knew where I was, in the shop. So it worked out that I took time, every chance I got, to do a little sewing, and then when we started having classes, that made it even more interesting because we had to do samples for the classes. I'm working on a log cabin set on the diagonal, and I'm doing a kaleidoscope Dresden plate, and then I'm finishing up the shop hop quilt. And then I've got some more I get plastic boxes, and I put the material and the pattern and my ideas. Each one has its own box, and then when I get ready to do it, I can just take that box down and do it. But the spirit has to move me. So I think I'm like the painter, and they ask the painter, what's your favorite picture you've painted? And he says, the one I'm going to do, my next one. So that's kind of the way I am with my quilts.